Chosen one. Pause for a moment and feel the weight of this timing settle into your spirit. You did not arrive here by accident, and this message did not find you randomly. Heaven scheduled this encounter long before today, and what you are stepping into right now is a Kairos moment, an appointed hour on heaven's clock, where a sealed scroll begins to open. Anointed one. There are seasons written for you that cannot be rushed and cannot be denied. And as Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 reminds us, there is a time for every purpose under heaven. This is not just another video. This is a divine interruption designed to awaken your awareness to what has been hidden in plain sight. Chosen one, you are standing at the edge of a prophetic unlocking. What you have prayed for, waited for, and quietly wondered about has been moving toward you even while you felt overlooked or delayed. As Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 declares, the vision has an appointed time, and though it may seem to tarry, it will not delay. Tonight, today, or in the coming days, something shifts when understanding arrives. Your wealth, your provision, your next level of assignment has never been absent, only concealed until your eyes were ready to see. Anointed one, receive this as a holy invitation. Let faith rise, let expectation awaken, and prepare your heart, because Isaiah chapter 60 verse 22 says that in the right time the Lord makes it happen suddenly. What is about to be revealed will change how you see everything. Chosen one, stay with me here, because this is where the scroll truly begins to unseal. What you are about to recognize is not theory, it is revelation. Heaven is not speaking to you from a distance right now. Heaven is reaching directly into your lived experiences, the ones you survived but never fully understood, and declaring that none of it was wasted. This Kairos moment is not about chasing something new. It is about reinterpreting what has already happened through divine sight. Chosen one. Your painful past was never just pain. It was initiation. There were moments you thought broke you, seasons you prayed would end, nights where silence felt louder than rejection itself. Betrayals that came from people you trusted, doors that closed without explanation, failures that bruised your confidence and made you question whether you had misunderstood God's voice altogether. But hear this clearly now, heaven was writing while you were bleeding. What felt like loss was actually inscription. What felt like delay was divine encoding. I speak this from experience, not theory. There were chapters in my own life I wanted erased. Conversations I replayed wishing I had spoken differently. Seasons where I carried shame quietly because I thought my struggle disqualified me from purpose. But it was only later, after the dust settled, that I realized the very wounds I hid were the ones people kept asking me about. Not because they were curious, but because they recognized something familiar in my survival. That is how hidden wealth works. It rarely announces itself. It waits to be honored. Chosen one. The divine does not choose the strongest. It chooses the most surrendered. The parts of your story you thought disqualified you are the very parts that qualify you for assignment. Your scars are not evidence of weakness, they are proof of endurance. And endurance carries authority. When you speak from what you survived, not what you memorized, something shifts in the spirit. People lean in, hearts open, atmospheres change. That is not coincidence, that is currency. Your wealth is hidden in the lessons you learned the hard way, in the discernment you gained because you were once naive, in the boundaries you now hold because you once gave too much, in the spiritual resilience that formed in you when no one was there to rescue you. There is a message in what almost broke you. There is a method in what forced you to mature early. There is a blueprint in what you had to figure out alone. And the question heaven is asking you right now is simple: have you honored it? Chosen one, stop minimizing your story. Stop treating your survival like something ordinary. You did not just endure, you were initiated. And initiation always precedes assignment. Somewhere inside your past is a teaching others need, a framework others are praying for, wisdom that cannot be learned in classrooms, only in fire. When Scripture says the vision waits for its appointed time, it is not only talking about the future. Sometimes the vision waits for you to finally look backward with healed eyes. This is the moment where shame loses its grip. The wound was never just pain, it was purpose in disguise, and purpose once recognized becomes provision. There are people searching for the very clarity you earned through confusion. There are lives that will shift because you chose not to hide what you survived. Your past is not a liability, it is an asset heaven has been waiting for you to steward. Chosen one, as this truth settles into you, feel the urgency, but also the peace. This is not pressure, this is permission. Permission to stop running from your story and start harvesting it. Because the scroll does not open all at once. It opens layer by layer, revelation by revelation. And this is only the beginning. Stay with me. What comes next will reveal another place you were taught to overlook, but heaven never did. Chosen one, as the revelation deepens, I need you to shift your attention from what hurt you to what surrounded you when everything went quiet. Because the second place your wealth has been hidden is not loud, not glamorous, and never celebrated. It is hidden in your isolation. Not the kind people choose for rest, but the kind that chose you. The season when your phone stopped ringing, when invitations faded, when people assumed you were doing fine because you stopped explaining yourself. That was not abandonment. That was alignment. There was a time in my own life when silence felt like rejection, wearing holy language. I told myself I was strong enough, spiritual enough, mature enough to handle it. But beneath that strength was confusion. I kept asking God why the crowd disappeared right when I needed them most. Only later did I understand that clarity rarely arrives in company. Revelation almost always requires separation. Heaven does not shout over noise, it whispers to the still. Chosen one. Your isolation was not punishment, it was preparation. You were pulled away from the chaos of opinions so your inner hearing could sharpen, away from constant feedback so discernment could form, away from emotional dependency so spiritual authority could rise. While you thought you were losing people, you were gaining vision. While you thought doors were closing, internal rooms were opening. And in those rooms, heaven was showing you the architecture of your soul. This is where patterns began to reveal themselves to you. You started noticing cycles others ignored. You sensed motives before words were spoken. You felt misalignment in rooms that once felt familiar. That was not arrogance. That was discernment being trained. Isolation strips away distraction so the spirit can recognize truth without interference. And that recognition is wealth. Because clarity saves years. Discernment prevents costly mistakes. Inner knowing becomes guidance others are willing to pay for. Chosen one. I need you to hear this gently but clearly. The version of you that emerged in solitude is not weaker than the social version you used to be. It is stronger, quieter, and more precise. You learned how to sit with yourself without numbing the discomfort. You learned how to listen inward instead of constantly reaching outward. You learned how to survive without applause. That alone separates you from the crowd. Because most people never stay long enough in silence to hear what you heard. There are insights you gained in that quiet that cannot be taught in public spaces. Wisdom that came from watching, waiting, observing. You learned what drains you. You learned what fuels you. You learned the difference between being needed and being aligned. That knowledge is not common. and common things are rarely valuable. Heaven was training you in private for what will later be stewarded in public. Chosen one, ask yourself honestly, what did that quiet season teach you? Not what you lost, but what you learned. Did it refine your voice? Did it strip your need for validation? Did it awaken creativity, strategy, spiritual sensitivity? Because those are not side effects, those are outcomes. Outcomes of a divine curriculum disguised as loneliness. You were not empty, you were being filled differently. This is why people will begin to come to you for insight, even if they cannot explain why. Why your words land deeper, why your presence feels steady, why your perspective cuts through confusion. It is because you carry something forged in stillness, and stillness produces depth. Depth carries authority. Authority attracts provision. Chosen one, stop calling that season a dry place. It was a research chamber, a sacred lab where heaven tested, refined, and revealed what was already inside you. What you extracted there can become frameworks, teachings, creative works, guidance others are desperate for. Do not keep it locked inside you. Wealth multiplies when revelation is shared. As this settles, feel the transition. We are moving from what happened to you to who was placed around you, because the next hidden place is closer than you think, and many miss it because they are looking in the wrong direction. Chosen one. Now we move even closer to where your wealth has been hiding, because the third place is not in a distant future or a dramatic breakthrough. It is in the people you have been overlooking. Not strangers in faraway places, but the ones already crossing your path in ordinary moments. The ones you dismissed because they did not look like answers. The ones you underestimated because they did not arrive with titles, influence, or polished presentation. This is where discernment must replace assumption. There was a season when I kept praying for divine connections, asking God to send the right people, the right mentors, the right partners. And yet the answers kept arriving wrapped in forms I did not recognize. Conversations I almost ignored, advice I nearly brushed off, opportunities disguised as casual comments. I learned the hard way that heaven rarely delivers destiny in impressive packaging. Pride looks for prestige, purpose looks for alignment. Chosen one. Divine connectors are rarely obvious. They are often camouflaged by normalcy, humility, or even discomfort. The person who greets you consistently with kindness. The one who asks questions others never ask. The one who speaks faith casually without performance. You may have overlooked them because they did not fit your mental image of success. But heaven does not move according to human branding. It moves according to assignment. Some of the people assigned to elevate you will not feel like upgrades at first. They may challenge your thinking. They may expose blind spots. They may speak truth in ways that bruise your ego before blessing your future. And if you are not careful, familiarity will cause you to miss favor. You will pray for open doors while ignoring the hands already extended toward you. Chosen one. I have seen this pattern repeat in my own life. The wisdom I needed did not come from stages, but from side conversations. The breakthrough idea did not come from experts, but from someone who spoke freely because they were not trying to impress. The partnership that shifted everything did not begin with strategy, but with alignment. Heaven often hides destiny inside humility to see who has eyes to see. You have been trained by the world to look for power in prestige and success in status. But God wraps destiny in disguise. That is why Scripture speaks of the stone the builders rejected becoming the cornerstone. Not because the builders were evil, but because they were looking with the wrong lens. Chosen one, ask yourself honestly, who have you labeled irrelevant because they did not match your expectations. That neighbor who speaks too openly about faith. That friend with ideas that sound unpolished but persistent. That family member whose perspective feels different, maybe even uncomfortable. That co-worker who notices things others ignore. Divine connections do not announce themselves. They reveal themselves over time, and time reveals alignment. Chosen one. The key to your next level may be hidden in someone you have already dismissed. Not because they are perfect, but because they carry a piece of the puzzle you cannot access alone. Wealth does not always come through money first. Sometimes it comes through access, insight, collaboration, or timing, and those things flow through people. Train your eyes to see spiritually, not socially. Ask God to sharpen your discernment so you recognize assignment instead of appearance. Because some blessings are wrapped in awkward conversations. Some breakthroughs arrive through uncomfortable honesty. Some elevation comes through relationships that stretch you instead of impress you. This is not a call to trust everyone. It is a call to stop judging too quickly. Discernment listens before it labels. Humility stays curious. Pride assumes. And pride is expensive. It costs opportunities you never knew you had. Chosen one, take inventory of the people already around you. Not through the lens of what they can do for you, but through the lens of what flows naturally when you interact with them. Who sharpens you? Who brings clarity? Who challenges you without draining you? Who speaks life without trying to control you? These are not coincidences, they are indicators. As this awareness settles in, something will shift in how you listen, how you respond, how you engage. Because once you recognize where wealth is hiding, you stop chasing and start stewarding. And the next place will require even more honesty, because it is not outside you at all. Chosen one. The fourth place your wealth has been hidden is so close to you that you almost missed it because it lives inside what you call normal. The skills that come easily, the abilities you barely think about, the things you do without effort while others struggle. This is one of the greatest hiding places of divine wealth because familiarity breeds dismissal. What feels ordinary to you is often extraordinary to someone else. There was a long time when I underestimated my own strengths because they did not feel impressive. I assumed that if something came naturally, it could not be valuable. I waited for external confirmation, credentials, or permission before taking it seriously. But heaven does not measure worth by difficulty. It measures alignment. Ease is not evidence of insignificance. Ease is often evidence of calling. Chosen one. One of the oldest tricks of the enemy is to convince you that your genius is basic, that what you do effortlessly does not matter because it did not cost you struggle. But divine fingerprints are subtle. They are woven into your temperament, your intuition, your natural responses. The way you calm chaos, the way you see patterns others miss. The way you communicate clearly, organize disorder, or speak life into heavy rooms. These are not accidents, they are assignments. What you call normal is someone else's miracle, and because you have lived inside it your whole life, you fail to recognize its weight. But heaven sees it clearly. Heaven placed that ability in you intentionally, knowing the world would need it in this hour. When people consistently come to you for the same kind of help, advice, or clarity, that is not coincidence. That is confirmation. Chosen one, stop waiting for applause before you act. Stop believing that validation must come before obedience. The world is in chaos, and you are walking around with solutions in your hands while treating them like nothing. That ease you carry is not for comfort. It is for contribution. It is meant to be built, refined, and released. I had to learn this personally. The moment I stopped dismissing what came naturally and started honoring it, doors began to open. Not because I became louder, but because I became clearer. Clarity attracts alignment. When you recognize your own value, the world adjusts its response. But as long as you treat your gift as common, others will too. Chosen one, you do not need a degree to be anointed. You do not need a spotlight to be effective. You do not need permission to steward what heaven already placed inside you. You only need to recognize the gold within. Package that gift, build around it, teach it, share it, monetize it where appropriate, not from greed, but from stewardship. Wealth allows impact to scale, and impact is part of your assignment. God hid wealth in your ordinary on purpose, because if it were dramatic, you would have noticed it too early. But now is the appointed time to see differently. What once felt small now carries weight. What once felt casual now demands structure. The burden you feel around this area is not pressure. It is calling, asking for form. Chosen one, ask yourself this honestly. What do people consistently compliment you on, but you deflect? What do you do so well that you forget others cannot? What problems do you solve without thinking? Those are not random. They are indicators of divine design. When Scripture speaks of gifts differing according to grace, it is reminding us that uniqueness is intentional. Do not wait for the world to tell you who you are. Heaven already decided. Your responsibility is to agree. Agreement activates movement, and movement unlocks provision. As this truth settles, you may feel both excitement and resistance. That is normal. Resistance often guards what matters most. But we are not stopping here, because the next place your wealth has been hidden is the one you have been avoiding, and avoidance always signals significance. Chosen one. The fifth place your wealth has been hidden is not subtle at all. In fact, it has been pressing on your spirit for a long time. It is hidden in the very thing you have been avoiding, the idea you keep circling but never committing to, the action you delay even though it returns to your thoughts again and again, the conversation you know you need to have, the step you sense would change everything yet you hesitate. Avoidance is not random. It is often the clearest indicator of importance. I have learned this through experience. The things that carried the most potential in my life were never the ones that felt comfortable. They were the ones that stirred fear, doubt, and resistance at the same time. Not because they were wrong, but because they were weighty. Anything that threatens old identities, old patterns, or false safety will trigger internal pushback. But fear does not guard empty rooms. It guards treasure. Chosen one, that idea you keep writing down and deleting is not haunting you by accident. That project you keep planning in your head without starting is not unfinished because you are incapable. It remains unfinished because it requires courage, and courage always demands surrender. Your divine wealth is not hidden in your comfort. It is hidden in your obedience, especially obedience that costs you familiarity. The enemy does not waste resistance on areas that do not matter. If fear is standing at the door, there is something valuable behind it. The tension you feel when you think about moving forward is not a stop sign. It is confirmation. Confirmation that this step would shift something. And shifts are expensive because they require you to let go of versions of yourself that no longer fit. Chosen one, push past the voices telling you that you are not ready. Readiness is rarely a feeling. It is a decision. You have been equipped longer than you realize, prepared through experiences you did not choose, called through paths that stretched you quietly. Heaven does not wait until you feel confident. It waits until you agree. We often ask for signs when we are meant to be the sign. We wait for clarity when clarity comes after movement. What if your next level is waiting on your first step, not the perfect step, the obedient one? The step taken while your hands are still shaking and your voice is still uncertain. That is how faith works. Faith moves before it feels safe. I know the internal arguments well. What if it fails? What if people judge me? What if I lose what little stability I have? But hear this, chosen one. Playing safe has already cost you time. Avoidance has already drained your energy. The weight you feel is not from the step itself. It is from carrying the decision without acting on it. Wealth is more than money. It is freedom, influence, clarity, spiritual authority, and yes, often material blessing. But all of it waits behind the wall of avoidance. Break that wall, and access follows. Delay keeps you in the same place spiritually, even if you are busy externally. Chosen one. Obedience does not mean recklessness. It means alignment. It means moving when heaven nudges, even if the full picture is not yet clear. Scripture reminds us that the steps of the righteous are ordered, not the entire path revealed at once. Order requires trust. Trust requires release. There is something sacred about the discomfort you feel around this area. It signals that your identity would expand if you acted, that your environment would shift, that your capacity would stretch. That is why resistance rises. Growth is not gentle, it is honest. As you sit with this, do not rush to fix anything. Just acknowledge what you have been avoiding. Name it without judgment, because awareness is the first form of obedience. And once awareness arrives, movement soon follows. We are not done. The next place your wealth has been hidden reaches even further back to a version of you the world tried to silence. And what you abandoned there is waiting to be reclaimed. Chosen one. The sixth place your wealth has been hidden reaches back further than your fears, further than your responsibilities, further than the identity the world taught you to wear. It is hidden in your childhood interests, the things you loved before survival took over, before practicality silenced wonder, before fear entered the room and told you what was realistic. This is not nostalgia. This is recovery. There was a time when you moved toward what fascinated you without asking if it would pay the bills. You created, explored, imagined, and expressed without needing permission. You danced, drew, built, wrote, dreamed. Not for applause, not for strategy, but because it felt alive. That aliveness was not random, it was prophetic. Those early passions were signals of design, not distractions from it. I had to confront this truth myself. I once dismissed my early interests as childish, irrelevant to adult life. I told myself they belonged to a season of innocence that could not survive responsibility. But the more I matured, the more I realized something was missing. It was not discipline or ambition, it was joy. And joy is not optional in purpose, it is fuel. Chosen one. The world trains you to abandon wonder in exchange for security, to trade creativity for conformity, to silence intuition in favor of approval. But those early passions did not die. They went dormant. They have been waiting for your return, buried under layers of responsibility, expectation, and fear, but still alive, still calling. Your childhood self was not naive. It was intuitive. It saw without filters. It moved without fear of failure. It expressed without needing validation. That version of you carried the seeds of your assignment before the world taught you to shrink. When Scripture speaks of becoming like a child to enter the kingdom, it is not talking about immaturity. It is talking about alignment. Chosen one, go back not just in memory but in spirit. What did you love before fear entered the room, before bills, heartbreak, and survival drained your light? What activity made time disappear? What expression felt natural, energizing, and true? These are not sentimental questions, they are strategic, because your true wealth is buried under the rubble of who you had to become just to survive. Survival teaches you to harden, purpose invites you to soften. The world told you to grow up, be realistic, play it safe, but heaven never asked you to abandon your joy, it asked you to steward it. Stewardship requires maturity, not suppression. It means taking what once came naturally and giving it structure, intention, and impact. Chosen one, there is divine reward in reclaiming what you abandoned, not because it will look the same, but because it will feel familiar. When you realign with your earliest joy, something inside you clicks back into place. Energy returns, creativity flows, ideas come easily. That is alignment, and alignment accelerates provision. I have watched people find success chasing trends and burn out quickly, and I have watched others build steadily by returning to what they loved and honoring it with discipline. The difference is sustainability. Purpose rooted in joy lasts. Purpose built on pressure collapses. Your wealth is not waiting ahead of you in some distant future version of yourself. It is waiting behind you, buried in parts of you you thought were foolish. But heaven never called them foolish. Heaven called them blueprints, and blueprints are meant to be used, not admired. Chosen one, as you sit with this, do not rush to resurrect everything at once. Just notice what stirs, what memory keeps resurfacing, what interest still excites you quietly. That is the spirit pointing to something unfinished, something sacred. And this matters more than you realize, because the next place your wealth has been hidden is not about what you did or loved, but about who you are becoming right now. And becoming requires release. Chosen one, the seventh place your wealth has been hidden is not in your past at all. It is in the person you keep becoming. The version of you that is emerging quietly, sometimes uncomfortably, and often without permission from the people who knew your old self. This is where many resist their own expansion, not because they are failing, but because they are evolving. You are not who you were last year. You are not even who you were last month. And yet you may still find yourself trying to explain, justify, or shrink back into identities that no longer fit. This tension is not confusion, it is transition. Growth always creates friction between who you were and who you are becoming, and wealth is often unlocked at that point of release. I had to face this personally. There was a season when I felt misaligned in rooms that once felt familiar. Conversations felt shallow, expectations felt limiting. I questioned myself, wondering if I was becoming arrogant or distant, but the truth was simpler and more sacred. I had outgrown what once sustained me. Evolution does not ask for permission, it asks for honesty. Chosen one. Every time you evolve, you unlock a new level of spiritual and material wealth. But that wealth cannot be accessed by pretending to be the previous version of yourself. You cannot carry old habits, old mindsets, old environments into a new assignment and expect expansion. Elevation demands congruence. You must match who you are becoming. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop editing your vision to fit outdated containers. Stop apologizing for clarity. God is constantly elevating you, not to isolate you, but to align you. With every revelation, a new identity is born. You feel it in your body. You speak differently. You think differently. You sense misalignment faster. That is not arrogance. That is awareness. Chosen one. There is divine reward in unapologetic authenticity, not performative confidence, but grounded truth. You are not changing for attention. You are becoming through obedience, and becoming always requires letting go of being understood by everyone. Some people will not recognize you anymore, not because you betrayed them, but because you answered a call they cannot hear. I remember resisting this phase because it felt lonely, not isolated like before, but misunderstood. The urge to explain myself was strong, to soften my growth so others would not feel left behind. But every time I did, something inside me dimmed. I learned that authenticity is not loud, but it is costly, and that cost is worth paying. Chosen one, dress like her, speak like him, move like the person you are now, not the one others are used to. This is not about appearance, it is about alignment. When your outer actions match your inner evolution, doors open naturally. Opportunities mirror identity. The universe responds to congruence. Some people cannot handle who you are becoming, and that is okay. They were aligned with who you were. Not everyone is assigned to your next season, and release does not require resentment. It requires trust. Trust that what is meant to follow you will recognize you without explanation. This is where many miss their wealth. They cling to old versions of themselves because they fear losing connection. But chosen one, you were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be aligned with purpose, and purpose always costs familiarity. As this truth settles, let it steady you. You are not unstable, you are unfolding, and unfolding is sacred. But the journey does not stop here, because the next place your wealth has been hidden is one that requires boundaries, not bravery, and many delay it out of misplaced humility. Chosen one. The eighth place your wealth has been hidden is not in what you lack, but in what you have been giving away for free. This is a sacred and uncomfortable truth because it challenges the version of humility you were taught. You were praised for being generous, available, helpful, and selfless. And yes, those qualities came from a good heart. But goodness without boundaries becomes leakage, and leakage drains what heaven intended to multiply. There was a time when I believed that charging, saying no, or placing limits would somehow make me less spiritual. I equated exhaustion with obedience. I confused being needed with being aligned, and slowly, without realizing it, I trained people to treat what was sacred in me as common, not because they were malicious, but because I never showed them its value. Chosen one, you have been solving problems, carrying burdens, offering insight, stabilizing others, and pouring wisdom without receiving what you are truly worth. You stayed late. You helped without asking. You advised without charging. You supported without being supported. And while your intentions were pure, the outcome was imbalance. Heaven never called you to be consumed. You were called to build. Giving away your gold in the name of humility does not honor God. It dishonors stewardship. Your time is sacred. Your wisdom came at a cost. Your energy is divine currency. And when you give it away endlessly, you drain your own reservoir while others prosper from your overflow. This is not righteousness. This is misalignment. Chosen one boundaries are not walls. They are altars. They declare value. They protect flow. They signal to the world how to engage with what is holy. When you begin to honor your own worth, the spiritual realm responds. Not because money is power, but because agreement is power. Heaven responds to alignment. I remember the first time I said I charge for that. My voice shook. Guilt rose. Old beliefs screamed that I was betraying who I was. But something else happened too. Respect entered the room. Clarity replaced confusion. My energy returned. What I had resented doing for free became joyful when it was honored properly. That was not greed, that was correction. Chosen one, you were gifted so you could build, not bleed. There is nothing holy about perpetual exhaustion. There is nothing noble about undervaluing what God entrusted to you. You were not anointed to be endlessly accessible. You were anointed to be effective. Effectiveness requires sustainability. It is time to raise the price, not just financially, but energetically. Raise the standard of how people access your time, your attention, your insight, your presence. Begin saying, I charge for that. Begin saying, let me send you my rate. Begin saying, I no longer give that away for free. And watch how alignment shifts around you. This will feel uncomfortable at first, because you are breaking a pattern. Patterns resist change, but discomfort is not danger. It is adjustment. The people aligned with your assignment will understand. The ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries may not. And that is information, not failure. Chosen one. When you stop undervaluing your gift, the world adjusts. Opportunities become cleaner. Relationships become clearer. Energy returns. And wealth in all its forms begins to circulate instead of leak. As this truth settles, breathe. You are not becoming selfish. You are becoming a steward, and stewardship is required for the final place your wealth has been hidden, because it is the quietest place of all. Chosen one. The ninth place your wealth has been hidden is not in action, effort, or strategy. It is hidden in the stillness you keep distracting yourself from. This is the quietest place of all, and that is why it is so often avoided. Silence feels unsafe to a world addicted to motion. But heaven does not compete with noise. It waits beneath it. You keep running, scrolling, filling every gap with sound tasks, conversations and stimulation, podcasts playing in the background, messages waiting to be answered. Endless lists that make you feel productive but never fulfilled. And beneath all of that movement is a subtle fear, because stillness exposes what activity keeps hidden. Grief you never processed, questions you never answered, a divine nudge you keep postponing. But stillness is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. I learned this the hard way. There were seasons when I stayed busy not because I was called, but because I was afraid of what would surface if I stopped. Every time I slowed down, something deeper tried to speak. A truth, a redirection, a realization that required change. So I stayed moving. But movement without listening only creates distance from purpose. Chosen one. God is not trying to reach you through the noise. He is trying to reach you through the quiet. The strategy for your next season, the idea that alters your path, the partnership that shifts your destiny, it is already trying to reach you. But your spiritual reception has been jammed by distraction. You have been asking for direction while avoiding the very space where direction is downloaded. Stillness feels unproductive to the mind, but it is highly productive to the spirit. When you sit, breathe, and stop performing, something recalibrates inside you. Your nervous system settles, your intuition sharpens, your inner voice grows clearer. This is where blueprints appear. Not shouted, not forced, but revealed. Chosen. One wealth in its truest form often arrives in moments of profound stillness. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is aligning. When Scripture speaks of God whispering, it is reminding us that volume is not authority. Presence is, and presence requires attention. Turn off the phone. Unplug from the world, even if only briefly. Sit with yourself without fixing anything. Pray without performing. Listen not just with your ears, but with your spirit. The next move is already encoded within you, but you will not hear it until you pause. Stillness is not empty. It is sacred space. You may feel discomfort at first. That is normal. Silence brings truth to the surface. But truth is not there to shame you. It is there to guide you. The more you practice stillness, the less intimidating it becomes, and the clearer your inner compass grows. Chosen one. Your wealth is not always waiting in action. Sometimes it is waiting in the silence you have been running from. The clarity you seek is not missing, it is unheard. And the moment you choose stillness, something ancient and familiar will rise within you. A remembering, a knowing, a sense of alignment that cannot be argued away. As we reach this point, take a breath and let the full picture settle. Your wealth was never outside of you, it was hidden in plain sight. In your pain, your isolation, your connections, your skills, your courage, your joy, your becoming, your boundaries, and now your stillness. These were not random places. They were spiritual locations where heaven hid your treasure until your awareness was ready. Chosen one, now that you see, the responsibility shifts. Seeing calls for stewardship. Awareness calls for action. Not rushed action, but aligned movement. Dig where you once overlooked. Honor what you once dismissed. Protect what you once gave away. Listen where you once ran. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a different way of living. A way where wealth flows from alignment, not striving. Where destiny unfolds through awareness, not pressure. Where heaven and earth cooperate because you chose to see. Stay with this. Let it work on you, because once the eyes open, they do not close again. Chosen one. Now that the 9 places of hidden wealth have been revealed, this moment is not about learning something new. It is about integration. Revelation without embodiment fades. Awareness without movement becomes frustration. So this final layer is where everything you've heard must settle into your spirit and rearrange how you live, decide, and move forward from this point on. There is a quiet danger after revelation. It is the temptation to admire truth instead of obeying it, to feel stirred but not shifted, to say that was powerful and then return to the same patterns that kept wealth hidden in the first place. Heaven did not bring you this far for inspiration alone. This is an activation moment, a Kairos hinge where insight must turn into alignment. Chosen one. The wealth hidden in your life was never scattered randomly. It was distributed intentionally across seasons that shaped you, stripped you, delayed you, and refined you. Pain taught you discernment. Isolation taught you clarity. People taught you value. Skills taught you stewardship. Fear taught you courage. Joy taught you magnetism. Becoming taught you patience. Boundaries taught you honor. Stillness taught you listening. None of these were accidents. They were training grounds. I want to speak honestly here. There was a season when I thought understanding was enough. I consumed messages, books, teachings, revelations. I could explain destiny fluently, but my life did not yet reflect it. And that gap between knowing and living is where many chosen ones get stuck. Not because they lack faith, but because they underestimate obedience in small, unglamorous ways. Wealth does not unlock through dramatic leaps alone. It unlocks through daily alignment, through how you wake up, how you speak to yourself, how you choose rest over rush, how you stop explaining your worth, how you protect your time, how you listen before you act. These are not spiritual cliches. These are wealth mechanics in the unseen realm. Chosen one, heaven does not fund chaos. It funds clarity. It does not reward desperation. It responds to alignment. When your inner world becomes ordered, your outer world reorganizes to match it. This is not mystical fantasy. This is spiritual law. Scripture hints at this when it speaks of order, of seasons, of appointed times. There is a time for planting and a time for harvesting. And harvest does not come because you want it. It comes because you planted consistently, often when no one was watching. Now hear this clearly. You do not need to activate all 9 places at once. That is overwhelm disguised as ambition. What heaven asks for next is not everything. It is the next obedient step. Just one, the one that keeps returning to your awareness, the one you keep postponing because it feels inconvenient, uncomfortable, or exposes you. For some of you, that step is reclaiming your time. For others, it is monetizing what you've been minimizing. For others, it is releasing a relationship that feeds familiarity but starves destiny. For others, it is sitting in silence long enough to finally hear the instruction you've been drowning out. Whatever it is you already know, revelation confirms what intuition has been whispering. Chosen one, do not wait for confidence to arrive before you move. Confidence is the result of alignment, not the prerequisite. When you move in truth, confidence follows. When you honor what is sacred, provision responds. When you treat your life like an assignment instead of a survival story, everything begins to shift. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to who you were before fear taught you to shrink, before survival taught you to settle, before disappointment taught you to expect less. Wealth is not foreign to you. It is familiar. It has been circling your life, waiting for agreement. Agreement is the key word here. Heaven moves when you agree with truth through action, not perfection, not performance. Action. Small, consistent, aligned action. That is how scrolls open. That is how sealed things release. Chosen one, let this land deeply. Your life is not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are being prepared to see differently. And now that you see, you are responsible to steward what has been revealed. Do not rush from this moment. Sit with it. Ask yourself not what inspired you, but what shifted in you. Then move accordingly, because the wealth that was hidden is no longer hidden. And what you do next determines how quickly it begins to circulate in your life. Chosen one. This part is about consolidation, because when revelation has spoken and movement has begun, heaven always calls for anchoring. Not anchoring in routine, but in identity. The danger at this stage is not failure, it is fragmentation. Trying to move in many directions at once because excitement has replaced discernment. So now the instruction is simple but weighty: root before you rise. Wealth that lasts is built from the inside outward. If your inner world is scattered, your outer expansion will fracture. This is why some people receive sudden opportunity and lose it just as quickly. Not because they were unworthy, but because their foundation had not yet stabilized. Heaven is more interested in sustainability than speed, and sustainability requires grounding. Chosen one grounding does not mean slowing your destiny. It means aligning your nervous system, your habits, and your decisions with who you are becoming. This is where spiritual maturity meets practical wisdom, where faith stops floating and begins structuring. Ask yourself honestly, is your life designed to hold what you are praying for, not emotionally, but practically? There was a season when I wanted expansion without adjustment, increase without change, favor without responsibility. And every time something tried to grow, it strained the systems around it. Time, energy, focus, relationships. I learned that abundance is not just given, it is hosted. And hosting requires preparation. Chosen one. This is the season to simplify. Not because less is better, but because clarity multiplies power. Reduce distractions, clean up commitments, close loops that drain attention. Say no without guilt. Say yes without hesitation. Order is not control, it is stewardship. Your wealth will flow through systems, systems of thought, systems of time, systems of money, systems of rest. If those systems are chaotic, wealth will leak. Not as punishment, but as protection. Heaven does not pour into containers that cannot hold. This is also the stage where discipline becomes sacred. Not harsh discipline driven by fear, but devotion-driven consistency. Showing up when no one is watching. Doing the small thing well. honoring your word, tending what has already been placed in your care. These are not minor acts. They are signals that say, I am ready to steward more. Chosen one, notice how your relationship with rest is shifting. You are no longer resting to escape. You are resting to recalibrate. Silence is no longer avoidance. It is alignment. You are learning when to move and when to wait. That discernment alone will save you years of misaligned effort. This is also where your circle begins to clarify itself, not through drama, but through resonance. Some voices will naturally fade, others will become clearer. Do not chase what leaves. Do not cling to what no longer fits. Expansion always prunes, not because something is wrong, but because growth demands space. Chosen one, trust the pruning. What remains will be stronger, more aligned, more capable of walking with you into what is next. This includes habits, identities, even self-perceptions. You are shedding versions of yourself that were necessary for survival, but not for stewardship. And now comes an important truth. Wealth is not only something you receive, it is something you circulate. Begin practicing generosity from alignment, not obligation. Giving from overflow, not depletion. Supporting what reflects your values. Investing where your spirit feels peace. Circulation keeps wealth alive. Hoarding stagnates it. This applies to money, time, wisdom, and energy. Chosen one, as you anchor into this phase, you may feel quieter, less reactive, less urgent. That is not stagnation, that is grounding. Roots grow in silence, and the deeper the roots, the higher the structure can rise without collapse. This is not the climax. This is the stabilization before the final unfolding. What comes next is not about discovering where wealth is hidden, but about learning how to walk with it without losing yourself. And that requires one final shift. A shift in how you see authority, responsibility, and legacy. Stay present. The final layer is about inheritance, not just increase. Chosen one. This final part is not about accumulation. It is about inheritance. There is a difference between receiving wealth and carrying legacy. Wealth can arrive suddenly. Legacy must be embodied over time, and heaven has been preparing you not just to receive, but to represent something larger than yourself. Up to now, much of your journey has been about survival, healing, discovery, and alignment. But this phase shifts the question from what is meant for me to what is meant to move through me. That is a sobering transition because legacy demands responsibility, not just gratitude. It asks you to live in a way that future generations can stand on. Chosen one inheritance is not only what you leave behind when you are gone, it is what your presence changes while you are still here. The standards you set, the courage you model, the integrity you refuse to compromise, the calm you carry in chaotic spaces. These things teach louder than words. They shape environments. They alter timelines. I had to learn this slowly. There was a time when I thought legacy meant something dramatic, visible, celebrated. But legacy is often quiet. It looks like consistency when no one is watching, choosing truth over convenience, saying no when yes would be easier, walking away from shortcuts that would have accelerated results but eroded integrity. Those decisions rarely make headlines, but they shape futures. Chosen one. The wealth you are stepping into is not just financial. It is moral, spiritual, relational, and generational. You are being entrusted with influence, and influence amplifies who you already are. This is why heaven delayed certain doors until your character could sustain what your gift could attract. Legacy begins with authority over self. How you speak, how you listen, how you recover when you make mistakes, how you treat people who cannot advance you. These moments form the unseen architecture of your future. Money will come and go, reputation will fluctuate, but character compounds. This is also where mentorship emerges naturally. Not because you announce yourself as a guide, but because your life becomes instructive. People will watch how you move, how you choose peace over performance, how you steward success without losing humility. Your example will become permission for others to rise without shame. Chosen one, do not fear this weight. You were built for it. Legacy does not mean perfection. It means accountability. It means staying teachable. It means remembering where you came from while refusing to live there. It means honoring the path without being trapped by it. Now let this truth settle deeply. The wealth you unlock is meant to outlive you, not just in money, but in mindset, in systems, in values, in courage passed forward. Whether through children, students, communities, or quiet conversations that alter someone's direction forever, your life is meant to echo. This is why alignment mattered so much. This is why stillness was required. This is why boundaries were necessary. Heaven was not just enriching you, it was refining you, preparing you to carry weight without bending, to lead without dominating, to prosper without corrupting. Chosen one, as you step forward from here, walk with reverence, not fear, confidence, not arrogance, authority, not control. Let your life remain a place where truth can rest comfortably, where wealth circulates freely, where purpose stays louder than ego. This is not the end of a series, it is the beginning of embodiment. You are no longer searching for where your wealth is hidden. You are learning how to walk with it in integrity, clarity, and service. Carry it well. Heaven trusts you. Chosen one, receive this as a holy sealing. You are not lacking, you are not delayed, and you are not forgotten. What was hidden has now been revealed, and the scroll written for you is opening in perfect Kairos timing. This is your appointed hour on heaven's clock, where awareness becomes activation and destiny begins to move. Walk forward with reverence, gratitude, and unwavering faith, knowing that what God concealed for you is now coming into your hands. Stay aligned, stay faithful, and honor what has been entrusted to you. If your spirit bears witness, leave a quiet sign in the comments and remain connected as this awakening continues. Go in peace. Your season has begun.